Good evening. It is now 6:30 p.m. I would like to call the regular Cultural Heritage Commission meeting of August 15, 2024 to order. Before I proceed, I would like to take a moment to go over our meeting protocols for today. The South Pasadena Cultural Heritage Commission meeting for August 15, 2024 will be conducted in person to maximize public safety while still maintaining transparency and public access. Members of the public can observe the meeting via Zoom. Will staff please take roll call?
Commissioner Cross,
Present.
Commissioner Dean,
Here.
Commissioner Severson,
Here.
Vice Chair Morrish excused absence, and Chair Lopez.
Here.
You have quorum.
Next, we move on to the approval of the agenda. Commissioners, do you have any requests for additions or revisions to the agenda? If so, please raise your hand. Seeing no request, I would like to vote of the commission to proceed with approval of the agenda as submitted. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
All those in opposed say nay. Okay, no nays. Next is the disclosure by commissioners of site visits and ex parte contact for items on today's agenda. Commissioner Cross.
I took a drive by both items on the agenda.
Very good. Commissioner Dean.
Just drive-bys.
Commissioner Severson.
Run-bys and drive-bys.
Same for me. I drove by each place, no contact. All right. Next is public comment for general items that are not on the agenda. Has staff received any public comments in person or via Zoom?
We have not received any public comments in chambers. Guests on Zoom, please click on the hand icon to make a public comment matters not on the agenda. And we do not have any public comments via Zoom.
Perfect. Moving right along. So we go to the first meeting, project of the day, 1725 Bank Street. Staff, do we have a presentation?
Yes, we do. All right. Good evening, Chair Lopez, Commissioners, Mayor Pro Tem. I'm Tatiana Marin, and I will be presenting item number 2 on today's agenda, project number COA 24-0010, located at 1725 Bank Street. Subject site is a rectangular shaped lot located on the south side of Bank Street. The lot measures approximately 14,811 square feet. It is zoned RS for residential low density and is surrounded to the north, east, west, and south by 1 to 2 story residential uses and is located near the South Pasadena Middle School. The subject site is currently developed with a 2,430 square foot, 2-story single-family residence and a 781 square foot detached garage. The home was originally built in 1910 in the craftsman style. The craftsman style is noticeable in the structure's current condition with the use of asphalt shingle roofing on a low-pitched gable roof, wood shingle siding, projecting 1-story porch, asymmetrical massing, and casement and double-hung windows. The subject site is categorized as a 5B1 status for the California Historical Resource Status Codes, as eligible for local listing only. The subject site is located within the potential Marengo School Craftsman District. The applicant is requesting approval for a certificate of appropriateness to construct a 620 square foot first floor addition and a 738 square foot second floor addition to the rear. First floor addition will remove the existing mudroom, and bathroom to create a new hallway that leads into a new bedroom, bathroom, and closet. It will also include a new covered porch, to include an in-ground pool, and an addition to the front to expand the existing living room. The second floor addition will remove the existing rooftop balcony and create space for a new main bedroom, bathroom, hallway, laundry room, and closet space. When complete, the home will total 4,255 square feet of floor area with 5 bedrooms. Now we move on to the site plan. We have the existing and proposed site plan with the proposed highlighted in green. And now we have the existing and proposed first floor plans with the rear first floor addition highlighted in green and then the minor addition to the front on the first floor. Now we have the existing and proposed second floor plan showing the new second story addition as well. Here we have the existing and proposed roof plans. And now we move on to the elevations. So here we have the existing and proposed front elevations as shown in the project plans in attachment 3. The rear portion of the first and second story addition will project from the east side of the home by approximately 26 feet. At the north front elevation, there are proposed changes that will maintain the existing characteristics of the Craftsman style. A new dormer window will be added to the left side of the front to match the existing dormer window with wood casings. In addition, the lower roof line will extend beneath the new dormer window to provide symmetry to the front facade. The new addition will incorporate materials to match the existing style, such as cedar shingle, lap siding, and asphalt shingle roofing material. Now we have the existing and proposed west side elevations. And here we have the existing and proposed east side elevations. Finally, we have the existing and proposed south rear elevations. And the applicant has provided some 3D renderings of the proposed design. We have the east front elevation, west front elevation, and the south rear elevation. As proposed, the project complies to all applicable development standards for the RS zone, as well as the city's historic design guidelines. In conclusion, staff recommends that the Cultural Heritage Commission find the project exempt from CEQA pursuant to Section 15301, Class 1, for existing facilities, since the project is not adding more than 10,000 square feet to the existing structure, and pursuant to Section 15331, Class 31, for historical resource restoration and rehabilitation, as the project is proposing modifications to a potential historic resource. And lastly, staff recommends that the Cultural Heritage Commission approve the project subject to the conditions of approval. And that concludes staff's presentation. We're here to answer any questions you may have, and the applicant is also here. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Does anybody have any questions for staff? Seeing no, does the applicant have a presentation?
They do not.
They do not. Very good. Does anybody have any questions for the applicant? Well, no, it's not standing, so let's not do that right now. So let's see. So let's open the public hearing. Staff, are there any public comments for this item?
We have not received any requests for public comments in chambers. Attendees participating on Zoom, please click the hand icon to make a public comment on item number 2. And we do not have public comments via Zoom.
Very well. Thank you very much. So at this point, we're going to close the public hearing section of the meeting, of this hearing, and we can discuss. Anybody wants to go first? Not everybody at once, please. I can start if you want. So first, I want to start by thanking the designers and the owners. Thinking it's this way. It's that way. The presentation is very nice. The design is very nice. I think the scale of the proposal is very nice. It's located in the right location. It's in the back of the place. We received numerous some notes supporting the design, so I wanted to get that into the meeting, into the record. So in general, it's very good. I wonder if you can talk to us a little bit about differentiating what's new versus existing. And the other thing I would like to, I have questions about, it would be the importance of changing the front of the elevation. The design is asymmetrical. It's got the windows in one side on the second floor, and it doesn't have them on the right. I understand you want to get windows on the bathroom, on the new bathroom there, but we usually do not, we tried for cultural structures like this to kind of keep their their um, their character from the front the way they are. And I understand the design is quite nicely designed. So it's not, you know, if I was going to sign it, that's what I would have done, right? So it's nicely balanced, it's nicely symmetrical now. But I wanted to know if I mean, what do you have to say about those comments? Thank you. There you go.
Thank you, Conrado. My name is Miguel Ariarte. I'm the architect of for this design of the addition to the 1725 Bank Street. Well, I'll first speak to your first observation with respect to the transition of the existing structure to the new one. Yeah, I'm executing that in with the copper flashing, basically, for where the joints are, where the new meets the old. It's
So
just
there's
by-
an actual copper line.
yeah. So it's
flashing
almost
that
like
is-
it's a reveal.
A
So
reveal.
it's where the siding would stop, and it's still weather protected even behind the copper
Yeah,
flashing.
yeah.
Regardless, it's copper, so it's the timeless way. There'll be copper's just the material that is common with not just arts and crafts, but numerous
Yeah.
historical structures. But that's literally the joint where the old meets the new, all along the first and second floor. And similarly, I'm putting in even at the roof, so somebody from above can see where the old roof meets the new. I'm gonna have a valley that'll just be copper. You don't have to do that with asphalt shingles or any, but that's what I'm gonna do at where the roof, even where the roof meets the new and the existing meet each other. Yeah, so that speaks to the first question observation that you have. The second one with respect to the you know over time all of our not all of our many of our residents, I do understand this is a historical structure or a potential contributor as well, but our needs, our family life, not just a bathroom to have windows, but we need to we would like to grow, and this home or this existing residence affords us the opportunity with respect to size, to grow tastefully in the craftsman style, in the style of the existing home. So it existing today and for many years has been an interesting structure to look at, and this is in keeping with the vocabulary. This second story and first story addition happen to be the front, but really it's a holistic design that we're looking at the program for the owners, how they live and how they will live their future. That's
Okay.
Yeah, and
Thank you. Thank you. So a couple of comments about that. I totally understand what you're saying about the trim piece or the reveal. Usually the committee has requested something a bit more obvious than that, which is in terms of architecture, it seems a bit counterproductive. Yet, I think the commissioners at other times have requested this differentiation that is a little more obvious than that, meaning the size of the shingles on the siding gets differentiated. I know exactly how you feel. I've done the design many times, and it feels counterproductive to an architect. So I understand how you feel. Yet that has been what has been requested. In sometimes I'm just saying and just making a comment for the commissioners to think about. and that kind of goes a little bit into the changing of the elevation in the front. Meaning I think you can get the same bathroom there without those windows being in the front. So it is, how far is the commissioner, how comfortable are the commissioners feel about making that change versus versus not having it? Again, it's the same subtlety that I'm talking about, a very similar level of subtlety, although the elevation is not as subtle as just the reveal versus the other. That's something else. But so I'm just kind of posting the question to my fellow commissioners. Those are the two things. And of course, you're welcome to have any other comments or questions, of course. So,
Can you bring up the north elevation?
the existing and proposed would be great to, yeah, exactly. And the photos don't help because there's a tree in front of it, so you can't kind of really see. I mean,
Yeah, that's great.
there's something about respecting the design the way it was, and you know, there are times that projects come to us, which is a good example. The next project is a good example that either was not taking. This is gonna sound wrong, but it wasn't well designed to begin with, or it was bastardized to a crazy amount during the years, which gives us the flexibility to say, oh, well, yeah, now your place is really a beautiful design to begin with. So that is, it's a subtlety that I would like for everybody to think about. And if we don't have so that's, sorry.
Do you have anything, Jeremy?
Yeah, make some comments. Yeah, I appreciate the 3D modeling. That's something that's always very helpful when we're looking at additions. I really liked, in looking at the 3D modeling, I felt initially that the extension kind of went out, but then you had a very nice landscape plan, which I saw there's going to be hedges and lots of landscape features that will kind of minimize the way the extension, the addition appears from the street, which I thought was also very thoughtful and very good. But yeah, to echo what Conrado said, well, first I'll talk about the addition is that, like Conrado said, it would be nice just to see like some really minor differentiation, whether it's the width of the planks or the width of the shingles. And I saw some of them, the windows are going to kind of not match, and some they will be used to match the original. So I think for the addition, the windows should probably kind of be differentiated rather than having them match the original structure. And as far as the north elevation, the kind of like the fenestration is exactly symmetric with the exact same type of windows. And while I guess I don't necessarily have an issue with adding a window, my own personal opinion is I'm not sure that is the best way to do it. Exactly symmetric with the exact same type of windows for something that we're doing as a new change. But that's just what I wanted to say. So I don't know what other people have to say about that.
Well, those were the 2 points that I wanted to bring up as well. I realized that I saw in the drawings the reveal that you had put in. And for some reason, I thought I had seen something where you had actually changed the shingle size or something, but I think I'm maybe mixing up the two projects here. So I understand that, and I guess I would agree with that. But the thing that I have that caught me more off guard was the front elevation, the bump out at the lower level, where the tree is in the front, to gain that space, which wasn't there before, and adding the symmetrical windows on the upper floor and changing the roof profile up there. I think I guess I would agree with the other commissioners that have already spoken. I think you can get the nature of the space to be very close to what you've drawn without altering that front facade, changing the location of the windows in that in what is now a bathroom, the master bathroom, in plan up there in the upper right, that section that's highlighted in green. And then the bump out on the bottom. I guess I think it's pretty clear in the standards that the front facade of these buildings is something that's on the registry, that's protected. So the stuff that you've done in the back is great, but I think these front facades are from the street view is something that needs to be reworked.
So just to kind of say a little bit, and you have time to explain also. You're also changing the roof line in the front. So if I read it correctly, the plans, the floor plate doesn't change in that corner, right? Actually, it doesn't look like either one of them changed because from the existing and proposed, they seem to be the exact same first floor and second floor.
The first floor comes forward.
Comes forward.
Yeah, the living room basically gets pushed out.
So the window, it looks exactly the same the way we see, and the belly band, everything is just pushed.
Yeah,
pushed
and that's, respecting that it's a
yes.
contributor to a cultural, to the neighborhood. It is
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, so that's thinking about the facade. And upstairs, I think you do have a good point with respect to, I mean, I'm kind of a fan of light, especially since this is facing north for a bathroom. And but 2, 1, or even just one a little bit bigger window than one of those that you see there, one of the two. I think that's a good idea, so that they're not so forcibly symmetrical, maybe on the second floor. That's thank you.
I mean, this design, the way you've done it, it could have very easily been the way it was designed originally, right? So I mean, it's but it's changing the character from the front that it's a very sensitive thing to the commissioner. The way we've always, and this is the way we do everybody. This is not your design, or this is the way we treat everybody the same way. So yeah, I'm sorry. Now, sorry.
Regardless, I believe the project is complying with all of the planning requirements. So that's one thing. With respect to even the request to have different size shingles or lap siding, I get that that's one way to do the change, but the other way to do the change acceptable that's in the planning code is to have a joint.
Right.
It's the second option, and that is what I've done. I as an architect, it does hurt me to just it's not warranted enough. I mean, if I had changed completely to brick or to something completely different, but to have it be a different scale than the 5.5-inch cedar shakes, or even the 5.5-inch horizontal lap siding, then it'd be like those that know would see it and say, huh, looks like they got someone who wasn't quite ready to do the construction and change that is truthfully what in the design world, what those that know will be thinking, and then saying out loud. And then so but I did absolutely a solution of the existing to the new with a joint, and I can even make it larger if you need, but it's about a 4-inch copper reveal. Copper stands out a lot. It's quite the.
So
Yeah.
I hear you, and like I said, I'm an architect, so I've been on the commission for a few years now, so it's been something that I had to get used to, because like I said before, it's counterproduct. It's counter to what the instinct, our instinct, is to kind of make it a uniform design that kind of works together. That and I think what I've had to learn is that that was not what the commissioner, that what the city was looking for was not that.
Mhm.
And I've had to do this other side, and I've done it numerous times now. And actually, I see the value in it now, right? I mean, I guess the way somebody else explained it to me once was that if a historical, not anybody, because like you said, anybody walking down the street is gonna think it's odd, right? It's gonna go like, what, why? But if a historical, person, 100 years from now, kind of looks into it, kind of there's a clean demarcation of, where, what's new and what's old. And I've gotten very I've been very receptive to the change in siding sizes. And I wouldn't necessarily put them side to side. I would actually put a trim piece to switch from one to the other. And I think it works, actually. And I'm actually doing one in my house right now, and I'm having to I'm doing the same thing. I'm having to change the shingle size to something else because of that. And my wife's an architect, and she's like, "Why are we doing this?" And like, no, this is the way. This is the way everybody does. This is what in the commission says. This is the way we. And I'm not finished with my project. I've finished other projects, and I'll let you know how I feel about it when I finish my project.
Yeah.
But I've seen it in other places, and it's more subtle than you think. It's all I have to say.
Okay.
I'm more flexible about the trim piece because those happen in the back. So I could be more open to that solution when it's in the back. I'm just saying I could be more open. I'm not saying one way or the other. Now the front elevation is a bit more of an issue that you discuss. And Commissioner Cross, you haven't said anything. If you want to say something, you haven't.
My concern is a little bit different.
There you go.
There's currently I'm not sure what kind of fence you call it there, but what is your proposal for a fence? Are you going to design
Yeah,
a
it's
fence to go with it?
Say that again.
Are you going to design a fence across the side yard there from the street?
Yeah, yes, sir. A 3-foot or even a 30-inch tall fence. There's a low wall, about 20 inches or so, and then set back from the low wall about 4 feet, a decorative low, craftsman style fence, not a chain link fence or not even a kind of a wood ranch style fence, a craftsman style fence. I don't want to call it even a fence. We have connotations. Fence.
It's not going to be a 6-foot fence further back?
Oh, that there's an existing 6-foot fence further back. That is going to be redesigned. Some of it will stay. And then I'm gonna have a 3-foot fence come from where the 6-foot fence is. It might be on one of the drawings. But yeah.
Okay, but you've considered that.
Yeah. So they're low fences.
That's my only.
And as well, they're not just low fences sticking out on the landscape. They're it's a garden, completely
No, and
new
the landscape
garden,
is absolutely gorgeous. Like
holistic. With a
the landscaping plan is beautiful.
okay. Thank you, Dale.
So I do not know how do we want to proceed? What do we feel comfortable? I mean, like I said, it's a very good design and the scale is right. So how are we feeling?
I agree. I think you've done a very nice job. I think the front facade, the upper windows, keeping true to what what was built, and what was there. I think that's, that would be my one comment that I would want reworked. I think, the reveal I understand what you're doing. I think there's different ways to interpret that, given the Secretary of the Interior standards. So I think what you've done, I think if I'm more comfortable with that. It's the upper windows in the bathroom, the extended roof line, and then bumping out that living room space to be flush with the patio that are my concerns on that front facade. So
You know, I know this is, I think we've really kind of mentioned this before, but I think I would be okay with yeah. Yeah, no, I'm gonna, yeah, I agree. I have the same, I mean, I really like the design, right? So it's hurting me, but it is the way this is the way we judge all the designs that come in front of us. So I feel like we need to be equal to everyone, even though it's a beautiful design, right? So
Andrea, please share something. This is Andrea Wang, the owner.
welcome.
Thank you. My husband's probably having a heart attack because he doesn't know that I walked up here. Thank you for considering our project. We live in the neighborhood currently, and we are very much wanting to keep the design as close to our neighbor, as intended it to be. That particular house is of the same architect of the house that we live in currently, as well as the house next to us and the house 3 more houses down. So we can see the patterns of all these houses. It's kind of like the person who built it just did the same thing over and over and over again. In the house that we currently live in, we did bump out the front to be in front, to be equal with the
Porch.
porch. And that was approved by our neighbors as well as the cultural heritage at the time. We did that at a time when the second floor balcony was coming off of its pillars. It was sliding off the top. Literally, it was held in into the house by one nail on each side. So either rebuild it or improve the design. And since the house, a few houses down, made a full 2-story, which is more similar to this house that you're looking at today, we took the time to ask if we could make the property more secure and then bump out the front and then put a new A-frame over that section. And so, I can see where you're, I kind of agree with your comments about the second floor now that I'm looking at it, the windows. But the first floor would completely match our house now, which is the exact same builder. And it's pretty similar to the renovation that was done 3 houses down. So
Okay.
I just wanted to offer that.
Thank you. We cannot, unfortunately, I cannot speak of what other CHC boards have done previous to us or previous to me being part of the board, which is, I think now it's been running for between, I don't know, 6 years, 5 years, I don't know, something like that. So, but thank you for your comments. Thank you. Yeah. So I think if anybody wants, I think it seems to me that I would like to propose to continue the project and give you guys a chance to think about what we said and come back to us with some changes or not changes. You guys have the option to kind of listen to what we said and go from there. So if nobody else has anything to say, then I'll propose to continue the project to give them time to think about what we've said. Anybody? Any second the motion?
Yeah, I'll second the motion to continue to our next scheduled meeting.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Well, Chair, if you don't mind, we'll take a roll call on that motion.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Commissioner Cross,
Sorry.
Yes.
Commissioner Dean,
Yes.
Commissioner Severson,
Yes.
Chair Lopez.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Don't have a heart attack. You are very close. We are talking subtleties now. So, and just think that we like this house so much that we are making these comments. But we truly believe that you're gonna get what you want. That not what you want, but you're gonna be happy. You're gonna be happy. So you have a good architect. You're gonna be happy. So no heart attacks. It's okay. Good. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. (1831) Laurel Street.
Okay. Good evening, Chairperson, members of the Cultural Heritage Commission, Mayor Pro Tem, members of the public. My name is Dean Flores, Senior Planner with the Community Development Department. And I'll be presenting on item number 3 tonight, which is project number COA 2411, located at 1831 Laurel Street. Subject site is Zone RE Residential Estate, which is a single-family zone. It is located on the south side of Laurel, in between Marengo and Milan, and is approximately 17,510 square feet in size. The existing home was originally built in 1910 in the craftsman style architecture, and it's a 2-story home featuring approximately 3,189 square feet of floor area. As listed, it's a contributor to the eligible Oneonta Park District, and some character defining features include the exterior shingle siding, 2nd-story balcony, covered porch, fixed wood windows, a bay window, and exposed wood rafters. As shown in the photo above, it was previously lifted and relocated on site. That was done via chair review earlier this year, and the site move was completed last month. So the purpose of the move was to make room for the proposed additions here. So a brief project description for the certificate of appropriateness, which is going to include an interior remodel, single-story 963 square foot addition, 2nd-story of 753 square foot addition, 2 new porches to replace the existing porch, and a new detached 2-car garage, as there is no garage on site. With respect to the development standards, as shown in the staff report, the proposal meets all development standards, including lot coverage, FAR, height, and setbacks and parking. So here with the proposed site plan, you can see the new additions are shaded in gray, which again is single and 2nd-story additions, which as shown will be towards the rear of the home. There's no additions to the front of the home, with the exception of the front porch. It's not considered new floor area. And then there's going to be a rear porch at the rear, which are shaded in blue, and the new detached garage located near the northerly portion of the site. So for the first floor of the proposed first floor plan, it'll include a new bedroom, office, and to expand the existing kitchen and family room at the rear of the home. The second floor plan is to add a new primary bedroom toward the rear of the home and would bring the total of 6 bedrooms for the entire house. So the next few slides are the proposed elevations. As shown here, the existing front and rear elevations. As discussed in the staff report and attachment 4 of the project narrative, sometime in the 1950s, alterations are made to the home. The city does not have any building permits for these changes, so some of them included new metal awning, window shutters, among other things. So with the proposed design that the applicant is proposing is to remove some of those changes and to enhance the overall facade with a brand new porch, new clad windows instead of the existing wood windows, just to show some differentiation between the new and the old. Another form of differentiation that they're proposing is for the new additions. As you can see here, the majority of the second and first floor proposed additions will be articulated from the rest of the home. And in addition to that, they're also proposing slightly smaller exterior shingle siding, which is discussed in the staff report. And the applicant did also provide some 3D renderings. As you can see here, the second story addition is carefully articulated from the rest of the home. And here's some side elevations as well. With respect to the SOI standards and the city's historic design guidelines, staff has determined that they're in compliance for the following reasons. The additions located towards the rear of the home, compatible with the architectural style and the overall mass and scale of the home. And again, the facade treatments, while consistent with the existing building, do propose some differentiation to differentiate from the existing to the new. With respect to the public notice, it was published in the South Pasadena Review on August 2nd and mailed to property owners within 300 feet on July 31st. One public comment was provided as an additional document, which were letters of support from the neighbors. The applicant did do their own outreach and obtain those letters of support. Before I move on to the recommendation, the applicant does have their own presentation that they'd like to come and prepare. So at this time, I'll have the applicant, Steve and Adrian Dahl, come up and share their presentation.
Before we go there, does anybody have questions for staff? Okay, well, good. Thank you. Oh, Dean, yeah,
Yes,
one question.
Of course.
New detached garage. Why doesn't that come to us? Because it's a new structure and it's not a historical structure. Is that why the new garage doesn't come to us?
Well, it is
yeah.
part of this project.
Oh my word, I missed. Oh no, but is it? I didn't see elevation. Did I miss it?
It's not there.
Oh.
That's gonna be my first.
Oh, okay. So yes. So I guess it didn't come to us.
That is correct. They did not provide an elevation for it, but that's something that we can probably add as a condition of approval when they submit for plan check.
Yeah, I think. I mean, unless it doesn't come to us, it goes to the design review board because it's a new structure. It seems like it should come to us because we want to see how they work together, kind of thing, right?
Sure. And maybe I can have the applicant expand more on that.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Good. That's it. Thank you.
While he's tying in the computer, I'm Steve Dahl, and this is Adrian Dahl with Dahl Architects. You see Mark Galley here, the homeowner, and Christina sneaked in too. She was wrangling the 4 kids, and that's why we're doing this. It's always for the kids. And he's going to join through Zoom for some reason on the laptop. We really wanted to have our 3D model for you so that we could turn it and rotate it. And you, Conrado, could say, turn it a little bit to the left, and we could view that she can see.
Thank you.
No copper strips or anything. There's real, huge.
Don't have anything
stuff that-
against copper strips.
but they're gonna patina and disappear.
Like yeah.
Okay,
well,
sorry,
yeah.
sorry. Stay on
I'm,
task.
yeah. Focus.
Focus.
Says sharing is not turned on.
Oh,
Okay, technical.
technical.
So on this home, and I don't know, Adrian and I went over there today, and we actually climbed into the house and underneath the house. It was a lot of fun. It's to share with you guys, when they picked up the home to move it forward, and you architects will get a kick out of this, or even any homeowner. The foundation was a 6-inch curb, 6 inches by 6 inches. That was it for this 2-story home.
Oh, man.
But the other day when we were eating lunch at our office at 12:22,
Yeah.
and that earthquake hit, wow, that was quite a slam. This home is up on the blocks, and it did well. It's so heavy.
Yeah.
So thankfully, up on the blocks, it didn't shift or move. That was a few scary moments
Yeah.
for us all. It'd be nice to set it down, and the contractors underneath, not right now, but earlier today, as soon as we moved it, we're digging the foundation underneath. And we wanted to do that after we moved the home so that, because things can move slightly, so you can set it down exactly. And we took pictures today. You can see the bay window, which was a 1933 addition on the west side. The new foundation is just exactly underneath it. It's wonderful. But I think are you hooked up?
Yeah, we're ready.
Okay, go.
All right.
Well, okay, so just to go quickly through this, Dean already shared kind of all the background. And so we came before you guys in November of last year, just at a conceptual level to talk about moving the house, which was the intent, besides creating room for the addition in the back, was to kind of put the house in a more appropriate location for the block. So we did get that approved with a follow-up chair review with Chair Gallatin at the time.
Mhm.
So since then, this is just the Sanborn map showing the original location of the house. There wasn't a lot around it. So at the time, it was one of the first in the area. Another thing to note on here is this little indication here, which probably is not very good quality on Zoom, but it does show that there was a front porch roof on the original house in 1910. This is what the house looked like before it was picked up and moved. So you can see some of these non-original details like this wrought iron railing, this tiny little canopy, which doesn't match the size that was shown on the Sanborn maps. That's not a 1910 canopy there. This is what the house looked like today. So part of the process of lifting it up, it stays in the air until that foundation's ready, then they'll put it back down. This is the back. So also on the back, besides all the canopies, you can't see behind these screens, but these are all non-original louvered windows. So there's very few remaining wood windows, mostly on the front, and there's a couple left on the side. So what we want to elaborate on from what Dean said is kind of the intent of our design and our thought process that we went through. And that started with Commissioner Cross in our last meeting, who mentioned that this kind of looked like a Stimson house. So we did some more research on GL Stimson, and this is not the same house, but we were unable to find exact building records, but based on other photos of houses that we know were designed by Stimson, this house was definitely also a Stimson house. It shares a lot of similar details, a lot of same design decisions. So this is the same one. It's kind of cool. He designed a lot of homes on Oak Lawn and worked together with the Green and Green brothers to do, I don't know, kind of this house in particular, actually, we think they worked on together. This one's called the GL Stimson house. But so this blueprint, for example, was in the Green and Green archives through Columbia University. These are some other examples. He designed the Tournament of Roses house on Orange Grove. Wildly different styles, all of these. This one's also on Oak Lawn, which we like, but is at the time, I'm sure a lot of people hated it with the amount of windows on here. Mm-hmm. Yeah, allegedly the Teddy Roosevelt's vice president lived in this house, so maybe he loved windows. You don't know. This was a house that Stimson lived in as well, nearby on Avoca in Pasadena. So some of the things to look at on here are the covered front porch, the exposed rafters, some of these window overhang details, wooden railings. It also has this horizontal trim piece between the first and second stories. And there's even this little detail on the side, which we'll get to later. But a lot of those are found on this house as well, despite the changes that were made in the 50s. This is another example with similar massing to ours as well, just kind of a big rectangle, really big roof, big eaves. That's the same house. Very similar example here. These are all on Oaklawn so far. This one is on Fremont, which is very similar to our project, but in much better condition right now. So this has an asymmetrical front porch, not centered on the main ridge above. It has these really narrow windows. We call them archery slot windows, so they could defend their house from bandits, maybe. Also, the front door on a lot of these houses is the exact same. And so seeing that door design kind of helped us decide that this was almost definitely designed by Stimson. One other thing on here is the vent detail.
I was gonna make a comment about that, but keep going.
Okay, so
going.
we like this vent detailing here. There's a few other ways that he did it, which you can see. This one is totally different.
Yeah.
This one's a little bit more basic, but I think this is what might have existed on the house that we're working on as well, before it was covered up with just siding. This is the last one, I think. So this one has a very shallow pitched front porch roof. So not matching the bigger gable of the main roof, which is what we're proposing to do as well. And then also these pilasters, exposed wood columns. And so back to ours. So we can see the top up here, it was just covered up with siding. We looked on the inside and the venting detail's not there anymore. They've ripped it all out. It would have been fun to restore that.
And the attic is from that horizontal band is the attic is actually the whole space is attic?
Yeah, exactly.
Wow. Okay.
So, I mean, before they put this up there, it was open all the way to the back. And I don't even know if they had screens. They just had the little 1x wood, and birds and bees and whatever could just fly all the way through. Which is probably why they covered it up. So here's our archery slot window over here. These we think are original windows, although if you can see in this photo, there's a trim piece on top, which goes about 5 feet beyond these windows over here. Plus it connects all the way in between. So we did look inside today, and the header, the structural header, goes across to the right of these windows, which we think means there were windows there before that were removed for unknown reasons. And then as well over here, with a symmetrical grouping of 4 windows on each, which we're proposing to put back in.
The louver ones are actually windows. Those are like screens.
So none of these are louvered. The louvered ones are more around to the sides and the back.
Oh, so is this what is it I'm seeing that looks different from the other?
Those are
Shutters on the
shutters,
inside?
Yeah.
Oh, so the paint doesn't have the same paint divisions as the ones next to it, huh?
Oh, these ones on the first floor you're pointing at?
No, I'm talking about the second floor of the on each side. There's 2 that look different.
So those are shutters on the outside.
So these are just shutters on the outside.
They're just,
Gotcha.
yeah.
That's what it looks like. But then you said there were, yeah, okay, good.
We'll get
Gotcha.
to that in a second.
Gotcha.
What we're
Okay,
hoping to
good.
put back in.
Fake shutters attached to the side.
Exactly.
Okay,
And I
that's
mean,
good.
look at the fake shutters on the first floor, which are about 8 inches
Oh
wide.
goodness, that's those are especially.
So this is the existing, and then this is what we're proposing to change. And this is a major change. We know the Secretary of the Interior guidelines and follow those. So a big challenge here is not to create a false history. We don't want to say this is what the house was, but we think based on our research and based on the style, this is how it could have been. And so we're proposing this as not necessarily a restoration, but as an alteration that takes it back to the original intended style. Oh. So this is our proposed model. And let me know as we go around if there's anything you guys want to talk about or want us
So-
to elaborate on.
Quick question, the shingles, the horizontal lines on the shingles are very pronounced, but they're really just the same, similar shingles the house has now.
Yeah,
that
so
correct?
that's just the texture on SketchUp,
Gotcha.
but these are shown at the right scale. So between those horizontal lines is 16 inches. So what we're proposing over here on the addition, which you can see,
Gotcha.
it's not an obvious difference. If you look right at it, you can tell.
Yeah.
This side, these are
Absolutely.
12 inches.
Yeah.
So, I mean, going back to the previous applicant, once you have them painted the same color or stained, you don't notice. But the point is that you do notice if you look close. So that we're
Correct.
not creating a false history. We're saying that this addition, if you look close, is an addition. It's not part of what was there originally.
Correct.
So we're proposing on the front, this wood railing, a shallow pitched front porch cover, and then pilasters, which help support these posts with with an exposed truss, kind of like we saw on that Stimson house on Fremont. So the venting detail we want to restore up here, it probably won't be a real vent, at least of that size. So it would be horizontal 1x and 2x, or maybe 4x pieces of wood that then are painted to look like a vent, and there'll be portions of that with actual vent behind it.
Right.
So the addition part back here, as Dean pointed out, is step back on both floors and on the roof. And then we're also bringing this new back porch all the way around to help create a differentiation between the upper and lower floors. The back porch is pretty similar to the front with the pilasters, a truss. The roof design's a little bit different just to give more covered patio area out here as an extension of the family room and the kitchen. This area is pretty cool. This portion, we do not have a differentiation in the wall or the roof, but instead we're continuing the roof line, but then breaking it up with this new, more modern, we're calling it conservatory window or greenhouse window, which is going to bring a lot of light into the kitchen. But it also is still maybe craftsman. Yeah, go ahead.
No. I was gonna ask you to stop before, so keep going and
Okay,
I'll ask
okay.
you the question, but don't move it from there.
So the idea with this is that it's really open and has a lot of glass, but it also has a lot of exposed wood. So it kind of shows how it was made, which is one of the ideas originally of craftsman architecture, of heavy timbers and not hiding your structural members. So having that open with glass and wood, if they could have done that in 1910, they probably would have. So that's something we're hoping is kind of a mix of the new and the old.
So on the bottom, on the left side there, you have the bay window and then a piece of solid wall. That one's got the original 16-inch, and then the siding changes right into
Yeah.
this volume here.
Yeah, so this little part that sticks out
Correct.
is a new portion.
Correct.
So there, I mean, there's a little bit of a differentiation, but it wasn't enough, which is why we wanted to introduce that change in the roof as well. So this line right here, maybe that will have to have some sort of reveal just for practicality,
Sure.
where those butt up against
Yep.
each other. Very quiet over there behind me.
He's doing. a
You're
great
doing,
job.
you're doing a great job.
But the other thing, you know, when you offset and the second floor offsets 5 feet on one side, 7 on the other, it's a huge offset. Downstairs here on this portion, we're actually popping out instead of in. And usually Secretary of the Interior guidelines, you want to pop in and be subservient. But we have the 1933 bay window addition that blocks it. So it's not visible to the streets. We feel better about that. The front is really sacrosanct. So you want to do that to the rear. So I feel good about that. The front, we don't know on this home, was it cobblestones, river rocks, or brick? And so we didn't really want to cheat and again, create a false sense of history to fool the public that what we're doing is original. That's why a bit more modern concrete that of course will patina seems right. It's lesser detailed, simpler than the original home. The other neat thing I'm really proud about is this front porch is removable. Let's say in the future that somebody figures out, a previous homeowner, and we've gone back in history, we've tried to see, does anybody have photographs? Maybe there's photographs that come out of what it looked like before 1950 when they really messed this home up. They could then remove our front porch if it is different and put it back. So we're not making any structural component changes. So I feel really good about that. There's no elephant in the room, but there's a little muskrat in the corner. So I got to address that while we're here. The sleeping porch, because you guys are going to ask anyway.
Yep.
So that too, I feel really good about. We are not fooling the public. We're not covering with shingles. We're not continuing the same windows. We're making an obvious infill. It looks like there's a sleeping porch. It's been infilled and all these homes over the years that happen. The really neat thing again, in the future, after these guys are done with the home, they win the lottery, move to Hawaii in 50 years, is the next homeowner could remove that. Inside that sleeping porch, the inside walls, we're keeping and using the French doors and the actual windows are being preserved. So that whole thing could pop out and the sleeping porch could go back in. With global warming, is somebody going to want to sleep out there on the porch? No, but it could happen. So that's the kind of level of detail we're after, is not just for these guys for the next 50 years. Well, the 4 kids could be there for a long time, but over, because we're custodians of this home, you guys are helping us protect it so that this can work over time. We'd love to hear your questions. The tough ones will go to him.
We should talk about the garage.
Oh, the garage. Yeah, you did
If
bring
you
that
have
up.
images, that would be great.
So the reason we didn't include that is because we're intending to do a second floor ADU on top of the garage. And so
That pesky state law thing.
Yeah.
there's not really a way to.
I was gonna
show-
ask if it was because it was an ADU.
And we didn't want to keep it secret or anything, but yeah, that's intended to be an AD right now. But, you know, I feel really bad. These are real people. They didn't win the lottery. They're probably not going to win the lottery, and they may not be able to afford that 2-story ADU garage thing. So we may be back embarrassed and begging and say, okay, here's our meek little 2-car garage instead. And we would love to come back and visit you guys if that indeed is what happened.
No
Just-
worries. You talk about these changes, they're not gonna, after they build a beautiful place like this, they're not gonna change anything. It's
Well, I
good.
mean, for maybe they can't afford the 2-story.
Yeah.
So then we'll come back with a garage.
Yeah,
Yeah.
No, we're not worried. Okay,
You know
very
how
good.
we work.
Are you guys finished?
Yeah,
That- that's
any
it.
questions?
Perfect.
for-
So yeah, any questions from the board?
Or if you want to turn the 3D model, we could do the worm's eye view, the bird's eye view. It's really, you know, nowadays, and you guys know this, we're designing this way and working with them. When we have a meeting, we sit in front of his computer and it's designed 3D because you just can't tell with the drawings. You need this level of detail. And I think it helps you guys too.
Yeah. It's very good. Thank you. Questions from the board for the applicant?
No questions
No
here.
questions. Okay, well, thank you very much. I must say to get on the record that we got a nice letter. I think Dean already mentioned it with lots of signatures of support. So very good, very good. So at this point, I would like to open the public hearing. Staff, are there any public comments for this item?
We have not received any public comments in chambers. Guests participating on Zoom, please click the hand icon to make a public comment on item number 3. And we do not have any public comments via Zoom.
All right, at this point, we will close the public comments section and discussion among the commissioners who would like to start. Oh, come on. Scott,
I'll
go
start.
for it.
First off, I would like to applaud both of you for taking on a project of this nature.
Sure.
Picking a house up and moving it, earthquakes, all of that, and then just having a house that has been in the condition that it's been in for so long. So I truly applaud you for taking this on, and I know when this is complete, it will obviously be a wonderful home for you and your family for years to come, and the neighborhood immediately around it. I can tell just from the comments that were sent in, they're very appreciative as well. I think it's interesting that we get two projects that are both dealing with similar issues. This one for me, for the architects, I think you guys have done a really lovely job. The massing of the house, it's really great. I think the Gailey family is going to really appreciate all the time that you guys have put into this. I think it's interesting how you've worded all this. The document that you provided that says that this is a Stimson house, I think there's plenty of examples. I think it's great, but problem is there's no documentation that you can truly fall back on. And because of that, item number 3 on the Secretary of the Interior Standards, the way that you've run with it, I think it's interesting, the items that you're choosing to adhere to and the ones that you're not, the stone at the porch, things like that. I think the front facade, I do feel that one component is misleading and it's conjectural. There are elements there that we don't know, per the Secretary of Standard Interiors, that were on this house. They're very cool details. I think it's beautiful what you've done on the front of this house, but I think it needs to be simplified and pulled back in the front based on what was actually there. There's nothing that shows that this house had a huge front porch like this. Like the Sanborn map is great. I didn't catch that when you pulled that up, but I think that goes more to this point of scaling things that things that you can truly fall back on. And I think that's where this front facade can really, in my mind, it needs to be changed. I think the rest of the house, I think it's great. I think you guys have done a wonderful job, but I think the front porch, the enclosure of the patio, the sunroom on the front corner, I think that's amazing. I love those sleeping porches. I think they're great. I think it's unfortunate that this one's at the front corner. Back of the house, it's a totally different thing. Like, I think that's great. It's infill. It falls all of this stuff into the Secretary of the Interior Standards. But I really do think that looking at standard number 3 and just, I know you've said that you've looked at it and you've gone one way and another on some other things. I think it really is adding a false sense of history, and it is trying to fool people that don't know that this is what was there. So that's my take on it. I want to reiterate, I think what you're doing is incredible. I really applaud you for doing this. I think it's really just the front facade. So I think pulling back some of these design elements and simplifying that a bit to what was actually there, and what was there, not what we're guessing was there, and what, if this was indeed a Stimson house, it very well could be, but there's no documentation that actually says this was a Stimson house. Therefore, we can fall back on that and say, this detail was in place, this detail was in place, this was in place. So I find that a bummer that isn't the case for all parties involved, to say this was the architect, the builder that constructed this, and Therefore, this detail applies, this detail applies, this detail applies. So that's my feeling on it, reading through. I'm curious to hear what you guys think.
Thank you. Thank you. You wanna?
Oh, sure. What Commissioner Severson said, you know, I agree with everything he said. I think you guys have done a great job on the primary home. He's an architectural historian, so I do think, oh, he's not, okay, so he's an architect, sorry. So I agree with everything he said, and I don't really have much to add to that, but I did have a question or concern about the location of the garage. I read the design guidelines for historic properties and for new properties. And on both of those design guidelines, it says where feasible, a secondary structure should be added to the rear of the property. And in looking, and so I know there's state law with regard to the ADUs and whether they're ministerially approved or CHC approved. And I was just looking at our ADU design guidelines, and I could be wrong because I was just looking at this now. Most of them says it should be an underutilized portion of the lot towards the rear. Like I said, this was a quick review, so I could have missed something.
So I can
Oh, yeah.
add to this. I would want this to be verified, but I think given your desire to potentially add an ADU, and this is a property that is on the registry, a garage that's located at the back of the property and less visible from the street helps you in this case for adding a second story ADU. So I think there are things that can play to your advantage by what Commissioner Ding is bringing up here in terms of if you're going on the route of adding an ADU there. Keep that in mind.
Yeah. So my comments on the primary I'll just second what he says, but my main new issue is the location of the two-car garage, because it does not seem like it's aligned with the guidelines for historic properties, new properties, and the ADU guidelines, because it appears that it would be feasible to put it in a less visible location. And there was also, I know that there was no rendering of it, but even, you know, rendering it pre-ADU would be helpful for us to just look at the massing and what it would look like from the street.
Thank you. Commissioner Cross?
I appreciate this project very much. I like the way it's been presented. As far as the garage is concerned, I somewhat share what's been said. I think it should be set back somewhat further, so it's clearly subordinate to the house, especially if it goes 2 stories. And that would also provide some additional parking in front, because people park in front of the garage. And so the parking wouldn't be out in the front yard, so to speak. But that said, I have no problem approving this project as presented. It's very nicely done.
Thank you. Thank you. This is it's another good one over here. This is a very good one. I echo what the commissioners have said here. Really, I think it's a beautiful project. I think in this case, if I were going to, I think the rendering did not help you in one thing, in that in the coloring you used, the trim pieces being so different from the base really emphasized elements that maybe could have been done more subtly. So just starting with that, I agree with Scott's comments I think the concepts, everything is great. All of what you've done. I think it can take a couple of steps towards simplicity in the front. Me personally, I don't have that much of a problem with enclosing the sleeping porch because guys have done it. First of all, I think you've done it well, meaning it's almost a sleeping porch that you just put glass in the opening. So in that regard, the look of it is probably going to be super similar to what it was. And to me, that is one of those elements that were beautiful and great and were used the way they were used back then. And they don't translate to now, right? And I hate to have this beautiful place wasting this amount of space in the front, in the back, wherever it is, because you wouldn't use it this way. It's just not the way you use it in modern times. So I think there's a subtlety there that I appreciate. But I agree with Scott that everything can. I think everything can be subtled down a little bit. The porch. I don't have as big a problem with it because this is a big house, and if it had a small, we do not know what porch it is. So I'm looking at it. I'm putting the Stinson thing aside, right? Because I agree with Scott. It is not. We do not know that's a Stinson house. So all those are good examples of elements or maybe inspiration for you, but it's not. It doesn't really necessarily. It doesn't. It's not. It's not apples to apples, right? We do not know that this is a Stinson house. So this is good craftsman details that could work well here. So I think the rendering did not help you. I was somewhat shocked by the screen and the size of the screen because that is not a typical craftsman detail. I mean, you show me an example that they've done it and it's beautiful, right? But so that shocked me to begin with. So I think if you tone down a few of these elements, and I think, and I'm hoping that maybe the color of the trim pieces versus the color of the base versus the color of if those things goes a little more subtle, I think it will be good. It would be a crime for a house this size not to have a good front porch. I mean, so if it was designed with a small porch, then I'm a little more flexible there, right? So again, I'm a little more flexible, but I agree with Scott that it needs to be kind of reined back a little bit. But I think it's beautiful on what you guys doing, and just to say also to you guys, this is marvelous. I mean, what you guys are doing is incredible, and since you move it, you're creating that basement level, which is gonna be fantastic space for you guys, but it's also expensive. My goodness gracious. So good for you guys. That is fantastic. So I again, like I said before, this one a little less than the one before. It's subtleties, right? So I don't think you don't need to freak out. It's not a crazy thing here. We're with you. We want you to do this, and you're gonna be able to do it. It's just now we're talking details. I think if I heard correctly, and I definitely agree with the garage. I think it needs to be set back further from the main house. So we'll see how the landscaping is. I think you move it forward so you get a little more backyard space. So how that works with the new garage, I'm not sure, but kind of I think you should be okay having enough space to make it work, moving it back a little bit. So yeah, I think it's very good. Everybody has some good comments. So Scott, you want to make a motion? Oh, I'm sorry. Apologize. Yes, yes, of course. Yes, of course. Sorry.
No, that's okay. I think in our presentation, we got a little bit carried away with the, all the Stimson comments. And so the point wasn't necessarily that, let's see. I can do that. The point wasn't necessarily that this is a Stimson house and we're gonna do what we think was there. The point was, this is a Stimson house and right now it doesn't look like that at all. So we want to create a new front facade that isn't necessarily what was there. It isn't necessarily what Stimson would do. It's just that because of his body of work, there's a lot of inspiration that we drew from. And because we thought it was a Stimson house, that's where we went first to look for inspiration. So, I mean, we don't have these details on any of those other examples that we saw. These are just, we wanted to have a big front porch, which feels appropriate for the size of this house, instead of the flat expanse of this two-story wall that there probably was a big front porch. Maybe not with all these columns, definitely not with this planter, because the house is a little bit higher than it was before. But so we hear all of those comments and thoughts, and definitely there's ways to simplify this, but we didn't want to say that this is what Stimson would do and these are Stimson details, if that clears it up.
Can I see the existing, how is the sleeping porch resolved in the first floor?
Oh,
Sorry, how does that? No.
so there is an overhang.
Mhm.
So
there
the,
it is.
the
Okay.
sleeping porch overhangs and creates kind of a recessed porch on the side, but it's not the whole distance. So you can see from here to here,
Right.
the sleeping porch is on top of the first floor.
Now, are those look like steel tubes? Are those original?
Those are just temporary, so the house doesn't fall down.
Okay, so there was something obviously supporting that. What was that?
Yeah, so there was a big post there, which we removed temporarily, but
Right.
it's sitting on the side. It'll go back.
With the post that's there, and this is why we're really intrigued, it's wonderful. It's
Ah.
multi pieces of wood that are pulled together with wrought iron. And both, look at that.
Oh,
So
wow.
we
Beautiful.
could have, and we did earlier, these guys will tell you, we created other front porches that were very detailed, picking up on the detailing of that. That's more green and green. I mean, it's very involved. You can see how that
That's
tightens
beautiful.
together, multiple pieces of wood, maybe different types and colors of wood. So it could have been a very complicated, very detailed front porch. So what we're showing you tonight is like a version 6 of what we started with, that is very simple, very subtle, low pitch, and open. It's almost like a trellis with a flat portion
Yeah.
to protect the front door.
So that was also kind of informed by these exposed
Mhm.
Heavy
pieces here,
beams.
including this one, which is not related to the sleeping porch. So the design of the front porch was to extend those same pieces.
We believe they
out.
were cut off and,
Yeah.
and they used to extend out. So we're really trying to go back to what was there. The
Uh,
same beam continues across the whole rest of the house. We believe that there was other beams that extended out also. You
Mm.
see the
Mm.
beam that goes all the way across.
So if I may make a suggestion,
Yeah.
and again, this is me.
Yeah.
Personal, I mean, there's four other members of the, I think you should start by separating the front porch from the other piece. I think you need to cut the sides of it. It should, it should be an independent piece, the one in the front from the other, especially if we're gonna, because right now I have not noticed, and maybe you could see it, but that beautiful column that what you're gonna put back, that it's put made of different pieces.
Yeah.
You would be hiding it if you build the corner pieces of the trellis.
Yeah, that's
in
true.
the front.
Yeah, yeah.
So I think that's an element. Now that if we look at these elements that you know that you would be hiding if you put these pieces in there. So I think there's a value here in kind of, again, I think that's part of the the simplifying,
Yeah, yeah.
the toning down, and Scott might be able to think if we're going in the right direction or not. You can see what you think, if how you feel about it. But that could be an
Conrad, I think that's great direction. I mean, because we are putting the porch back where the covered portion, back where it was from the Sanborn map, but the other elements, maybe we got carried away on both sides. And we certainly don't want to screen that beautiful post that's now behind the other post. So that could be a very simple fix, right?
Yeah,
there.
it seemed to me, I'm sorry to do this again, but if you can show again the photo that you were showing with that,
No
that
problem.
showed that post, I think the clearly the porch did not, well, no, that doesn't show it necessarily, no, never mind. I was gonna say the porch didn't used to, well, we do not know what this railing used to be. The porch used to be, when used with the concrete, the floor in underneath on the floor there, underneath the sleeping porch.
So
Is it a continuous? You can tell it's one single pour. Does the wraparound existed before?
Yeah, it's
Ah.
big.
Oh, but the thing is, we do not know when they added that. That's the trick. Yeah.
yeah, that could have been in the 1950s.
1950s.
Yeah.
So I mean,
yeah,
that goes
yeah.
back to the point as well.
Yeah.
We're not trying to restore it.
Right.
We're trying to make it
Right.
better than it is now.
And what's appropriate
And now the version now has been crazily altered.
and simpler than what is there with the rest of the home. We don't want to do it too complicated, too detailed.
Okay, so here's the existing floor plan. So that was the extent of the paved front porch. So I mean, it's even further out than what we're proposing. We're proposing to only go out about 5 feet. Right now it goes out about 7 feet of the concrete portion. And who knows what part of that was roofed.
Yeah.
But that's
Yeah.
where the porch extended out to, at
Right.
least on the flat work.
So Scott, does this seem like a reasonable direction, or you would need a little more? Just let us know where you are.
Yeah,
where
I guess I'm just rereading standard number 3, and
Okay.
I think I'm just holding true to that. I
Okay.
think everything else is okay, but I think even the way you're talking about it now, I think standard number 3, where the items here that we don't know if they were there or not, like I'm just holding to that. I mean, it's written. It's pretty easy to fall back on.
So,
these
but
days.
we're not proposing to restore anything that was there. We're proposing a new.
No, I understand, but I think that falls directly into the ending sentence in item number 3.
And the ending sentence,
Adding conjectural features and elements from other historic properties will not be undertaken. I think it's pretty cut and dry with the way you guys have presented this, the way that the design has happened on the front facade. I think it's really simple in this case, in my mind.
so there was a front porch there. It shows on the Sanborn maps. We know that for a fact. So we're putting a front porch back.
So I
It
would
has
say,
nothing to do with any other home. It's a new porch for this home.
sure. So I think you've got something to stand on there. You've got a
Okay.
Sanborn map,
Yeah.
so you could scale it to that.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's something that we know existed. The beams extending out, the change in the sleeping porch, I think those items, without historical documentation, I'm not a historical architect, I'm an architect, but
Yeah.
I'm sitting here reading the things that are put in front of us
Yes.
to judge these things by.
Yeah,
So I'm just falling back on that.
right.
And I think that those items make this tough for me to get around the things that you've done to the front facade. So I think getting it back to what was clearly there, with the sleep. I mean, it's a very simple front facade, elegant in a way, in its simplicity. The complexity happens elsewhere on the house, and I think that's definitely a craftsman detail. But yeah, I fall back on item number 3 here.
No, this is really great discussion, Scott. And the reason I wanna, if you don't mind, if we can talk a little more, because we really wanna give them, you know, without telling them what to do, which is not our job, is give them some direction, right? So I'm trying to kind of find that spot, right?
Sure.
So the existing has a clearly like what is that, a 3x5 metal cone there that clearly does belong to this house, right?
Yes, that.
And obviously the railing is clearly doesn't belong to the house.
The shutters,
So-
all of that stuff.
but-
It's obvious that that is not part of the original potential.
And
uses.
would you feel comfortable? Again, I'm not arguing with you. We're having a conversation. I just want to know where your head is. Obviously, this house must have a covered front porch.
Yes,
So
I think the Sanborn map clearly illustrates that.
so I guess it's a matter of scale, right? Because if you're going to, we don't have a photo of what the front porch used to look like, and it's not what's there now. So they're gonna build some.
Yes,
Right. So it's a matter of and it's gonna be something that is hopefully representative and compatible with the craftsman design.
yes,
So then it's a matter of scale and detailing, I
Right.
guess,
Right.
right? So because I think it will be incomplete if if they take what's there out and don't put something back.
no, I'm not arguing for not putting anything back here. I think the things that get put back are things that were there. The porch being there, like in the Sanborn map, I think you can definitely put that back. Like, I think that's easy. But the other elements that you're adding to the facade, that goes back to my point of simplifying and all of that. A simple craftsman railing like you've put in on the lower porch, that doesn't, I mean, that's fine. The metal railing that's there on the sleeping porch upstairs and the one on the first floor, that's clearly 1961 or 70s or whatever. Same with the little metal roof, pop out, the shutters, all of that stuff, pulling all that stuff out and getting back to the things that you were there.
But we don't know what's there. That's part of the
Well,
problem.
no, that's what I'm saying with the Sanborn map. You do know that it was there. Like, the Sanborn map was drawn with what was there. And that was a very good observation on your part to find that in the Sanborn map. There's something that you can scale off of for the front porch there. So I think whatever the detailing is there, I think it goes with our thoughts on something that follows the detailing on the house. I think you've got plenty of stuff to pull from to put that in, but I think limiting it to the scale of what was on the Sanborn map, I think is where I would think the appropriate response would be.
So we got this is great conversation. How do you feel, Scott, about the screen, the attic ventilation?
So I guess I would say the same thing, the simplifying the front facade. We don't know. I think that's a very lovely element. I think that's very nice, but we don't know that that was what was there. It's something, it falls back to this item number 3, which is in writing, and I think it's pretty clear. So I would say no on that as well.
Okay,
would be
so
my thought.
to take a step all the way back to the state that this house is in. Right now, I mean, another argument could be made that this house is no longer deserving of protected status due to the amount of alterations that have been made.
So that's a whole other
I'm
argument.
not making that argument. I'm just
So
saying.
that's a whole other argument,
Uh,
and I don't think you want to go down that
I'm
one
not-
because
no,
that
no, you let me finish what I want.
this is probably the point where you don't want to
Okay,
say
just
stuff
to-
about that, but I understand what you're saying. But the house currently that we are reviewing is on the register, and that's what it is.
Yeah.
But,
So
okay,
there are certain things that go with that. So
understood.
So
but-
I think there is a lot of elements that, because of the paint and everything else, I think if you really take a photo of I believe the treatment, the piece above the windows is there.
Yeah.
And you're just painting it a different color, but it's there. So then you kind of have to, I think what Scott is saying, I think you could do a little more investigating about, you know, and show us clearly what was there versus the opposite.
Well, at the top with the screening, the siding is obviously new. The metal vents are obviously new. So those need to come off, and we need to pick something that's more appropriate to a home of this age, that's more craftsman. It was either vertical or horizontal or both on the venting for that attic space. And so we're doing something that's simple, again, that's removable. It's not structural. It could be changed once somebody knew more. Oh, for heaven's sakes, you guys put in horizontal, was actually vertical. Easy to change. There's no structural change to that. We really can't leave that horrible siding and the metal vents.
That's the same thing with the railings,
Yeah.
removing those railings, and we're proposing a simple, more craftsman railing design instead.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I don't understand fully, Commissioner Severson, the idea of, so what is there right now, if it's not craftsman, are we limited to using examples from the way the house is built now for how we make alterations?
I think, you know what? I think let's do something. Because I think we had some good discussion, but I don't know that, I think we're getting to the point that I don't think it's gonna be fruitful, you know, to stay here, you know, where we are, right? So I think a little bit like I said to the previous element, let's sleep on it, right? Like, you heard what we had to say.
Yeah.
And we heard you, and we're not ignoring you. Of course, we are having a conversation, and it's a great conversation. But I think at this point, I think I would prefer to make to do a motion. I'm sorry, a motion, and then kind of sleep on it. And I think it's up to you. The next steps. I mean, of course, we're here, and so you know what I'm saying? I think it's probably not a bad idea to kind of think about that. And like I said before, you're gonna, it's good. It's good. Oh, okay. Well, I think conceptually we closed the public comment, but
Part of the applicant.
you can speak if you want. No, you speak now. Yes.
Otherwise, we all go home.
Yeah, so,
Yes.
so Chair,
yes,
just
yes.
go ahead and just reopen the public comment so that way it can be recorded.
Well,
Or a rebuttal, however you
it's
want.
rebuttal. I
Okay.
think he's heard that he's part of the applicant, so I think it's okay, right? So, yes.
Okay. Hello,
Yes.
Mark Alley, owner of the property. Appreciate the focus on it. I have to admit, having been to hundreds of public meetings, I'm pretty confused as to what the direction is. And I'm not an architect, I'm not a historian, I'm just a member of the community for 12 years and sort of lifelong public servant, and trying to figure out, having listened to the conversation, heard a wide array of points raised, really unclear what the direction is. And as our architects will tell you, we're pretty active in trying to help support the design, and really wanting maybe dumb it down for us, so
Well,
we understand what the concerns are.
so oh, go ahead.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. So I went through this process in 2018, and I probably were thinking the exact same thing you're thinking right now, as to like, what are these guys talking about, and just not understanding about, you know, historic preservation and the guidelines and all that. And I think we had like 3 or 4 meetings before we went to a subcommittee. So I'm exactly where you were before. So I think one of the things that the commission tries not to do, which sounds counterintuitive, is to tell you how to design your house. which would be in the form of very clear direction. Put in this window, take out that window, move this, do that. So we try to avoid designing your house for you. And that's why it ends up coming off very vague, and go back and take another look at this and try to simplify it, and try to, go back to the guidelines, or go back to the, that's what it kind of seems like, right? Because we don't want to be in the business of designing your house, and you don't want us designing your house. It should be your own house. And that's why the feedback is there. So I think that's kind of my best way to tell you, now that I'm on the other side of trying to explain why it seems the way it does, and why it kind of seems nonsensical. But that's what we're trying to
I
avoid.
guess, just thank you for explaining it that way. What we sat and heard is
Yeah.
simplify, pull back, scale, certainly unclear what the scale should be. And really, we eagerly await to be in front of you for months. And then, no, well,
I don't think so. First of all, you have a good
we
representative
have
here.
amazing representatives.
So
Yeah.
I don't think this is gonna take months. I think you guys are gonna sleep on it, go through it, and I think by the next meeting we could. So our intention is not for this to take months. Our intention is we try to, like Commissioner Dean said, we try to give you feedback without giving you specific direction, because that's not our job, that's their job. So, and I think if when you guys get together, he'll be able to explain a little more about the process and what we've said and what they're going and scale and things like that. So I hear you, and I know what it feels like, but I think we're moving in the right direction, and I think we have been. Yes, there's some open-ended things, right? There's no specifics that we can say, but I think they know what we're talking about. And you know what? Yes, I'm not trying to be dismissive. Really, I am not. That's not my place. I'm agreeing with Commissioner Ding. This is kind of the process, and design in itself is kind of this gray area, right? And everybody thinks of it, what one person thinks is great, the other person might not think of it. So we're in that realm with some guidelines that we follow, right? But each one of us makes an interpretation, and we're trying to be as clear as we can. And you can let us know if we haven't, but I think the conversation has been good. And again, this is not meant to be weird or obscure. That's not our purpose. So if that you feel like that, I'm sorry, that was not our point to do that.
No, clearly this is different territory for me. I will appreciate that.
Steve and Adrian, do you guys have what you need to follow up with the homeowners? Okay. Yeah. I think they made sense of it.
We're a lot closer than one would think.
Yes.
It's a little fine tuning. These are nuances.
Right.
Don't panic. Don't have a heart attack.
Right.
We're going to be okay.
Correct.
And it's all for a
Correct.
good cause. And you have standards you have to uphold, and we get it. And we will bring something back to you that we're all going to be proud of.
Correct.
Thank you
I
so
mean,
much.
We want you guys to build to finish this project that you started already and spend a lot of money in. So we
But
really
it's gotta
want
meet the
you guys to
darn
do it.
code, for
So
heaven's sakes,
we're,
too.
yeah.
Yeah. Thank
So-
you. We're close.
Okay.
I just have one question. As long as you're up there, are you able to put the house on a foundation prior to even coming back, say?
We're working in, nothing will stop that. Working,
okay.
they're actually sleeping on site. We found they're guarding it, and they're working night and day. We're
Oh.
going to get that on the foundation
Oh,
as quick
yeah.
as possible.
That's good.
Because,
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
yeah,
Per code. That's a whole separate permit with
Good.
your and with your blessing to allow it to go to chair review before we then submitted the construction documents, because the staff pointed out properly that as part of the review that you guys did, it also needed all the structural engineering, architecture and everything to do that foundation. So we did that, submitted it, and you have a wonderful building consultant, Transtech, that did that very quickly. And we have a wonderful engineer, and all that is proceeding. We have a great contractor too.
Perfect.
So the home will be safe and secure. The goal is for them to preserve and protect this historic,
Right.
contributing structure to the potential historic district. And so
Oh.
nothing will stop that. Yeah.
One last comment. You guys will eventually have to do a landscape plan, but so if you guys have one before next meeting, if you could provide it?
That's going to be tricky.
Okay, if not, then
Yeah.
you
Boy,
can-
the last team sure had a beautiful one, didn't they?
yeah. Yeah, that's fine. I just wanted to throw that out there if possible.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, anybody wants to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to continue the hearing of 831 Laurel Street to the next scheduled meeting.
Roll call, please. Oh, second.
I'll-
Oh, sorry.
No.
Roll call now.
Commissioner Cross,
Yes.
Commissioner Ding,
Yes.
Commissioner Severson,
Yes.
Chair Lopez.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. See what's next. Oh, I need my reading glasses. Comments from the city council liaison.
Okay, try to make it real brief. We're trying to focus on the future of the council right now, and the probably the two biggest subjects. Number one is the budget, and the next council meeting is next Wednesday. The council believes we're going to bring a balanced budget, and I believe it, and I think that we'll move on. We should have a balanced budget at that council meeting, and then we'll move on to what else is important. And the other thing that is important now, something I mentioned the last time, I'm gonna bring it up again. The focus on the council now is to educate the public on what this height limit ordinance is all about. I, as one councilman, I have heard it explained back to me with a lot of different versions. And I'm not gonna get into it tonight with the five of us, but it's very simple, but we need the public to realize what they're voting for.
Mm.
And it's a very important vote. We didn't want this vote. Nobody in the city, I think, wanted it 4 or 5 years ago. The state imposed 2,200 dwelling units on this small city. They had to find a way to do it. We think we've got a way to do it with this ordinance. And now it's make sure that everybody knows exactly what it is that the ordinance is proposing. And this is what democracy is all about.
Yeah.
Vote for it, but before you vote, make sure you truly understand.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Did you guys ever decide anything on term limits, or that just,
So what?
did you guys ever decide to put term limits on the ballot, or that didn't get acted on?
No, it's gonna be on the
It's
ballot.
gonna be on the ballot?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, I missed
Okay.
that.
You've got a point though. There is a question mark there, but it will be.
Thank you. Comments from commissioners? Any comments, anything happening?
No comment.
Comments from subcommittees? No. I don't have anything.
We met with Dean today regarding the Indiana project.
Okay,
So, beautiful house, really nice.
very
Yeah,
good.
sorry.
Okay, very
So
good.
that should come on next month. And nothing new on Wayne, the one that you and I are on, and then nothing new on Oaklawn, the one that Matt is on. Can you ask Matt what the status of that is when you see him?
Will do.
Yeah, thank you.
Very good. Thank you, thank you. Comments from staff?
Yeah, good evening, Chair, Commissioners, Mayor Pro Tem. I do have a couple staff announcements. First being, I'm not sure if the commission's aware, but a couple weeks ago, HCD did certify the city's housing element finally. We received the certification letter, and obviously it was a long time coming. And staff worked diligently and went back and forth with HCD. So we finally got our certification letter, and they did list a few of the housing programs. They specifically listed a few of them, so we'll work hard on getting those implemented. And secondly, we do have a staffing update. We're in the process of hopefully getting a new associate planner within the next few weeks. So we won't, they'll hopefully jump right in and help us out with our projects. And that concludes my announcements.
Thank you, Dean. All right, well, that adjourns our regular meeting, and the next one is scheduled for Thursday, September 19th. Thank you.